The story begins in 1976 in a small Indonesian village where a group of children make a makeshift football out of dried grass and head towards the fields to play. Among them, a boy named Abdi is sternly warned by his father to return home before evening falls. Abdi reassures his father, promising to be back before dark. The children then head to the fields and become so engrossed in their game that they lose track of time, failing to realize that darkness is fast approaching. Eventually, some of the children notice the gathering gloom and start heading home one by one. However, Abdi and his friend Noyan decide that it isn't fully dark yet and continue playing. Suddenly, their ball rolls deep into the middle of the fields. Acting sensibly, Abdi suggests leaving the ball there for the night and retrieving it the next morning in the daylight. But Noyan insists on getting the ball immediately. So, albeit reluctantly, Abdi joins his friend in venturing into the fields to search for it. However, due to the thick grass, they cannot spot the ball anywhere. As they search for it, pitch darkness descends all around. That is when they sense that someone else, besides the two of them, is present in the field. Terrified, Abdi tells Noyan that they should head back, but Noyan refuses to return home at any cost without finding the ball. As they venture further into the field, they spot a strange girl ahead. She looks absolutely terrifying and bears no resemblance to a human being. She is standing there holding their ball. She beckons Noyan to come forward and retrieve it, and he begins to walk towards her. Seeing this, Abdi tries to stop him, but Noyan, completely under her spell, keeps following. When Abdi chases after his friend to bring him home, he witnesses something that leaves him utterly shaken. The girl picks up a large stone and strikes Noyan on the head repeatedly, killing him instantly. Horrified by what he has seen, Abdi runs back to the village to save himself and shouts to gather the villagers. He explains that a strange girl roaming the fields has killed Noyan, and the villagers rush to the scene together. However, neither Noyan nor the strange girl is to be found. A short distance away, they discover Noyan's dead body by the riverbank. The gruesome sight leaves everyone terrified. Although they have found Noyan's body, the strange girl who killed him is nowhere to be seen. So the next day, Noyan's father confronts Abdi's father and starts berating Abdi. He believes that Abdi is the one who killed his son and is merely concocting a tall tale, claiming a strange girl killed Noyan to save himself. An argument breaks out between Noyan's father and Abdi's father, but Master Shanghai intervenes. After listening to both sides, Shanghai tells Noyan's father that Abdi is not lying. It was indeed Sumala who killed Noyan. Hearing this, the villagers react with confusion, wondering who Sumala is. Shanghai then begins to recount Sumala's story, taking us back 29 years to 1947. We are introduced to Sujiman, the wealthiest man in Piru village. Although Sujiman is the richest man around, his wealth holds little value since there is no one to inherit it. Sujiman and his wife, Suhani, have been married for 11 years but remain childless, a source of great distress for the couple. Seizing this opportunity, Sujiman's uncle approaches him, asking for a portion of his land to build a factory. However, Sujiman refuses to part with even a small piece of the land, as it is an ancestral legacy from his grandfather. He is determined not to let his family's land be auctioned off. Angered by this refusal, the uncle tells Sujiman that the land will soon be his, pointing out that while Sujiman has no heir, he himself has 3 children. So I will soon go to court and take this land away from you. Just then, Sujiman's wife Suhani arrives. Seeing her, the uncle insults Sujiman, saying, "If I had a beautiful wife like yours, I would have fathered 8 children by now." Suhani overhears this and realizes she must have a child at all costs. Otherwise, the uncle will seize their land. Meanwhile, Sujiman, furious at the insult, goes straight to his wife and bluntly tells her, "If you don't give me a child within a year, I will marry someone else, because I won't let my grandfather's land fall into anyone else's hands." Devastated by this, Suhani sits outside the house, weeping. She is at a loss as to how she will conceive a child within a year when, suddenly, she overhears 2 workers talking inside the room. One of them is saying that my wife had trouble conceiving a child, but then she visited a sorceress, and with her help, our child was born. Hearing this, Suhani decides to visit that same sorceress. The very next day, without telling her husband, she sets off in a car with a maid. Traveling through the forest, they reach the banks of a wide river. A fisherman ferries them across and drops them off near the sorceress's house. Suhani leaves the maid outside and enters the house alone. Inside, the place is filled with strange and eerie objects. Suhani tells the sorceress she wants a child. The sorceress explains that while she can grant this wish, the process involves black magic and the help of the devil. "If you are ready for that, I can give you a child," she says. Suhani is frightened at the mention of black magic and the devil, but she is desperate to save her husband's land, a goal that hinges on having a child. So she agrees. The sorceress then explains that she will provide not 1, but 2 children, 1 daughter belonging to the devil and the other to Suhani. Suhani's own daughter will be incredibly beautiful and innocent, whereas the devil's daughter will be hideous and dangerous. The condition is that Suhani must love both girls equally for 10 years. She must not treat her own daughter well while mistreating the devil's daughter. If you do this, the devil will get angry and destroy your entire family. Suhani strikes a deal with the devil, and the sorceress begins a terrifying ritual. She mixes strange substances into blood and makes Suhani drink the resulting liquid. As the sorceress chants incantations, Suhani suddenly begins to experience a strange reaction and her body starts to seize up. She is in great pain as her body contorts unnaturally, forcing her into a position where she is balanced on her hands and feet. Shortly after, Suhani's belly begins to swell as if she were pregnant, and the ritual concludes. The sorceress tells her she will will receive good news within 2 months. But before Suhani leaves, she reminds her once more of the pact made with the devil. 2 months pass, and one day, Suhani is suddenly struck by excruciating abdominal pain. Seeing this, Sujiman calls a doctor home for Suhani. Upon examining her, the doctor discovers that Suhani is pregnant, not with one, but with 2 baby girls. Sujiman is overjoyed at the news. Having waited 11 years for a child, he summons his servant and instructs him to spread the word throughout the village that his wife is pregnant and expecting twin girls. Overjoyed, the couple decides on names for their daughters, Samala and Komala. The next day, Sujiman invites the entire village for a meal and holds a pre-birth ceremony for his unborn children. Days pass, and finally, the day of Suhani's delivery arrives. As the clock strikes midnight, lightning suddenly flashes across the sky, and Suhani spots a strange monster sitting on the sofa opposite her. She realizes it is a demon waiting for the arrival of her daughter. After enduring intense labor, Suhani gives birth to her first daughter, but the baby is completely silent and motionless. Realizing the infant is not alive, the aunt places the stillborn baby in a nearby cradle. The doctor then attempts to deliver the second baby, and shortly after, Suhani gives birth to her second daughter. Hearing the baby's cries, Sujiman rushes into the room in high spirit, only to become deeply saddened when he sees his deceased daughter lying in the cradle. But the moment Sujiman lays eyes on his second daughter, he flies into a rage, for she looks far from normal. She is utterly terrified. Shattered by the sight, Sujiman grabs a knife in a fit of fury and begins to attack the hideous child. Suhani tries to stop him, knowing that the infant is the devil's daughter, and fearing that killing her would invite the devil's wrath upon their lives. However, crippled by pain, she is unable to stand and intervene, and Sujiman kills the child, an act that is destined to plunge them into grave trouble. Later on, Suhani had made a pact with the devil to love both children equally for 10 years, but Sujiman was completely unaware of this. In fact, far from honoring the pact, Sujiman killed the devil's daughter the moment she was born. Yet, the instant Sujiman killed that infant, his own first daughter, who had been born dead, suddenly came back to life and began to cry. Seeing this, Sujiman was overjoyed. The story then jumps forward 3 years, introducing us to Sujiman's daughter, Komala. We see Sujiman trying to teach her to walk, but she is unable to do so because she is paralyzed on one side. The arm and leg on that side do not function. Relatives sitting at the table remark that Sujiman too had suffered from similar paralysis on one side during his childhood, but had eventually recovered. However, Sujiman remains unhappy about his daughter's condition. Another 2 years pass, and although Komala is now 5 years old, her behavior differs significantly from that of other children, and she is prone to angry outbursts over the slightest things. One day, while Kumala is playing with a bicycle, Suhani arrives and tells her to stop, warning that she might get hurt. Kumala gets angry at this and starts shouting loudly at Suhani. Seeing this, Suji also becomes angry. He picks Kumala up and locks her in a room where she begins banging her head